Well, that was a whirlwind of a game, to say the least. You had the Bulls go up big to start out the game in the first quarter. Then the Thunder come back and actually took a 1-point lead for a little bit there in the second after the Bulls were up 18. And I won't lie, I had flashbacks of the blown loss from the last time we faced the Thunder. But thank God it was a comeback in the second quarter, this time from OKC, and not at the end of the game. The Bulls took care of business and dominated in the second half off of the back of Zach Lavine. So what's going on, everyone? You're listening to Bulls Central here. Hope you're all doing well. Before I get into the game recap, apologies to those who were on the live stream chat on the channel that abruptly ended in the second half. Initially, we were all chatting that it was glitching for whatever reason, but it turns out someone had actually reported the live stream due to inappropriate language and it was shut down, which I personally didn't see any offensive language, but guys, if you see anything in the live chat that bothers you, whether it be offensive, discriminatory, racist, or anything like that, please just message me and let me know so I can remove the person from making those type of comments and also just blocking them from the channel because I don't tolerate any of that kind of stuff here. That way the whole stream doesn't get shut down. Anyway, hopefully that won't happen for tomorrow's game. Let's talk about this game though, because there was a lot to be excited about from this game if you're a Bulls fan. However, yet again, the Bulls played another incredibly depleted team that were without some of their key players in Al Horford, Lou Dort, George Hill, Darius Bazley. So yes, a blowout win for the Bulls, obviously a great thing because the Bulls capitalized on the fact that the Thunder were shorthanded and the fact that they're also just not a good team in general. But just like the last game against the Raptors, you have to take it, with a bit of a grain of salt in terms of how this performance went when you're mainly facing NBA bench players and G League players. And guys, as much as I wanted to see Lavine go for 50 tonight, and he certainly would have gotten that if he played in the fourth, but it was absolutely the right call by Billy Donovan to take him out when the Bulls were leading by as much as they were to start off the fourth. Donovan actually had him start off the fourth quarter. Initially, I was thinking, come on now, he needs to rest. The Bulls have a back-to-back against the Spurs tomorrow, and I was just waiting for him to actually take him out, and just as I was thinking that, he ended up pulling him out of the lineup. Don't worry though, guys, Lavine is going to hit 50 one of these days. There's no doubt in my mind, but we also need him to be healthy, and no point having him in a game that is out of reach when you have a back-to-back. Now, the Thunder being shorthanded aside, and aside from the second quarter, and I'll get to that in a little bit, this was a solid game for the Bulls. They were incredibly efficient on offense, especially in terms of their overall pace on offense. They didn't shoot the three all that well, better than they did in the last game, but the Bulls shot 51% from the field and 33% from three. Lavine was really the only one actually hitting from behind the arc tonight. He shot 7 for 12 from three, 15 for 20 overall in his 40-point night. He had 20 points in the third quarter alone. And what was really great to see from Lavine was that he only had 1 turnover tonight, and he actually played decent on defense as well. That's one area Lavine has really struggled with this season, is taking care of the ball. He's been averaging 4 turnovers a game. The Bulls as a whole actually only had 11 turnovers, which was great, as we know the Bulls' biggest problem this year is turning the ball over, as they are dead last in the league in turnovers committed per game. Markkanen had himself a nice game, 22 points, shooting 7 for 14, 3 for 9 from 3, 5 rebounds and 2 blocks, and he had a monstrous dunk in the first quarter, probably the best dunk of the year for Lauri. That was incredible. And then Thaddeus Young also had an amazing dunk. The dude can still get up and throw it down despite his age. Also, Thaddeus has just looked more and more smooth out there. With his court vision and finding the open man and cutting to the basket. So far, I am loving seeing him in the starting lineup. The only disappointing thing about it is that the more games he starts, it'll take away his eligibility for 6th Man of the Year, which I really do think he had himself a case to win based on the way that he had been playing. Thaddeus tonight, 17 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists in just 22 minutes, shooting 8 for 11 from the field. Patrick Williams, not the best night for him. After coming off a career game against the Raptors, he was cold tonight, shooting 1 for 9 with only 2 points and 3 rebounds. Wendell had a nice game off the bench, only 9 points, but he was showing himself to be, again, just like the last game, more assertive on the defensive end. He had 9 rebounds to go along with his 9 points. Coby White, man, only 4 points in 28 minutes against a pretty non-competitive team, given who they had in the lineup. I think, what was disappointing was how quickly the Thunder came back into the game in the second quarter when Coby was running the point over Satoransky. It's unfortunate because At the same time, I like the move of putting Satoransky in the starting unit at point because he is a better facilitator and he's a better defender than Coby is. But I also just hope this doesn't stunt Coby's growth, his overall confidence, because obviously we still need him to do well. I mean, he's the Bulls' third leading scorer on the team. Despite his flaws on defense and playmaking, we still need his scoring, even scoring off the bench, and providing that spark needed for the second unit. Instead, we saw the opposite of that tonight, and the Thunder making their way back into the game with Coby running the floor. Now, I know it wasn't Coby the whole time, when the Thunder were making that run, and obviously there were other guys that need to be held accountable for falling asleep defensively and letting it happen that quickly. I mean, being up 18 to finding yourself down by 1 in less than 10 minutes of play. But despite all of that, it just goes to show that this first unit Billy Donovan has adjusted to has been working and working well. Now, I know it's only been 2 games, and let's be honest, these were probably 2 of the easiest games the Bulls have played all season, given how shorthanded both the Raptors and the Thunder were. We'll obviously need to see this starting lineup really tested against some of the better teams. Tomorrow's game will be a good test, and especially the game on Friday when the Bulls will face the Nuggets again in Denver. We'll have to see how this group fares against the likes of Jokic and Murray. But either way, it is initially shown to be successful in the flow of the offense, the ball movement, the complementary defense we get to see from Sato and Thaddeus to go alongside Lavine and Markkanen's offense. Like I said, my hope is that it doesn't stunt Coby and Wendell's growth, but at the end of the day, you've got to do what's best for the team in getting the team to win. Now, it was interesting that Billy Donovan chose to start Wendell in the second half. He said in a post-game interview it was because Moses Brown's size and the matchup there was why he made that switch, which is probably a good call, since Brown was dunking on guys like crazy out there in the first half. He actually had a really great game tonight. Zach Lavine, he was also asked about the lineup change in the post-game presser, and he mentioned that, here's a quote actually, "It showed me that we're definitely trying to win." Which is good to hear from Zach, because like I said, if you caught my video from earlier this morning, the topic was on what Lavine would do if the Bulls missed the playoffs yet again, and how that would impact his desire to want to continue playing for the Bulls. And my argument on this was that Zach should see that this team is in an assessment year, but they're still making the moves and working with what they have to be competitive and make a playoff push to get these guys some experience in the postseason. I think knowing that we have a new front office and a new coach, that Zach understands that this is his team and they're looking to build around him, and that they're not just going to settle for losing anymore to get higher lottery picks, which has kind of been the story of Zach's career. Go ahead and check out that video in case you missed it, as I would love to get your guys' perspective on it. I also put a community poll out there on if you guys thought Lavine would request a trade if the Bulls missed the playoffs this season. I'll share the results of that poll in tomorrow's video. Overall though, guys, a good game. Another game the Bulls needed to win, and really they needed to win big, and they did. They handled the game well, they got the job done, and took care of a team that was very much depleted. The Bulls will be right back at it tomorrow against the Spurs. I'll have a live group chat for that game, hopefully anyway, as long as no one reports the stream this time around. Even if it does though, we always have a live group chat on the Discord as well, so you can join that if the YouTube stream isn't working. Link for the Discord is in the description below. Be sure to subscribe if you're a Bulls fan, as I post daily Bulls content. Thanks again, as always, guys, for tuning in, and I will catch you in the next one.